Namaskar, hello and a very warm welcome viewers. You're watching the special presentation of Sansad TV on first part of the budget session of Parliament 2022. The session commenced on January 31st with President Ramnath Kovind's address. The first part concluded on Friday. In next 20 minutes, we'll get you all the highlights and the developments of the first part. Come along. The first part of the budget session of Parliament commenced from January 31st to February 11th. The second part is scheduled from March 14th to April 8th. Ahead of the session, Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu and Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla discussed preparations amid the surge in coronavirus cases. While the Rajya Sabha met from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., the Lok Sabha sat from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Given the reduction in the time of sitting of both the houses by 1 hour per sitting due to the staggered timings, Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu and Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla took stock of the time available for different items of business. They underscored the need for cooperation from all sections of both the houses for effective utilization of available time. Officials informed the two presiding officers that the Parliament House complex was sanitized and all possible measures were being taken to contain the spread of the virus. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla also convened an all-party meeting to ensure smooth functioning of the House. He urged the leaders to have an extensive discussion on President's address and budget and raise important issues of the people in the House.
सभी दलों के नेताओं से आग्रह किया कि राष्ट्रपति अभिभाषण और बजट पर व्यापकता के साथ चर्चा संवाद किया जा सकता है। मुझे आशा है सभी दलों के सहयोग से, सरकार के सहयोग से सदन की कार्रवाई ठीक चलेगी और सदन की कार्रवाई परिणामपूर्वक होगी जिससे देश की जनता का कल्याण हो सके।
Meanwhile, Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu called a virtual meeting of the leaders of the parties and discussed the agenda for the budget session. During the meeting, the government said that it did not plan to take up any legislative proposal during the first part of the session. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi also held an all-party meet and expressed government's willingness to discuss all the issues. An all-party meet is a customary procedure before the beginning of every session of Parliament to ensure its smooth functioning.
हम स्पष्ट रूप से कहा है कि अगर सदन चलाने के लिए, सुचारू रूप से चलाने के लिए अगर आप सहयोग करते हैं तो हम सभी मुद्दों से चर्चा करने के लिए तैयार हैं.
Making his customary remarks at the beginning of the Parliament session, Prime Minister Modi urged the members of Parliament to set aside concerns over the Assembly elections in 5 states to ensure that the current session of Parliament turns out to be fruitful and constructive with meaningful discussions based on humanitarian concerns.
बजट सत्र में भी हम सांसदों की बातचीतें, हम सांसदों के चर्चा के मुद्दे, खुले मन से की गई चर्चा वैश्विक प्रभाव का एक महत्वपूर्ण अवसर बन सकती है.
The session commenced with President's address. Article 87 of Constitution provides 2 instances when the President specially addresses both houses of Parliament. One at the beginning of the first session after each general election and second at the beginning of the first session of each year. The address highlights the government's policy priorities and plans for the upcoming year. It also provides a broad framework of the government's agenda and direction. The President's address is a solemn and formal act under the Constitution. Utmost dignity and decorum befitting the occasion is maintained. The President's address is the statement of policy of the government and as such is drafted by the government, which is responsible for all its contents. The address contains a review of various activities and achievements of the government during the previous years and sets out the policies, the projects and programs which government of the day wishes to pursue with regard to the important national and international issues. In his address, President listed the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic, record procurement of farm produce and steps taken to improve internal security as collective achievements in the long journey to achieve ambitious goals for the country.
आज़ादी का अमृत महोत्सव हम सभी भारतीयों के लिए अगले 25 वर्षों के संकल्पों को आकार देने का पवित्र अवसर है। मेरी सरकार सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका विश्वास और सबका प्रयास के मंत्र पर चलते हुए अगले 25 वर्षों के लिए मजबूत बुनियाद पर तेजी से काम कर रही है।
After President Ramnath Kovind spelled out the roadmap of Narendra Modi's government, both houses took up the discussion on the motion of thanks on President's address. Under the rules, discussion on the matters referred to in the President's address takes place on a motion of thanks moved by a member and seconded by another member. Members who are to move and second the motion are selected by the Prime Minister, and the notice of such a motion is received through the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs. BJP member Geeta Shakya moved the motion and member Shwet Malik seconded it in the Rajya Sabha, while Harish Dwivedi of the BJP moved the motion in Lok Sabha and Kamlesh Paswan seconded the motion. The scope of the discussion on the address is very wide, and members are at liberty to speak on every matter of national or international importance and other issues. Generally, 3 days are allotted for the discussion on the motion of thanks. The time allotted by the House for discussion on the motion of thanks is distributed amongst various parties and groups in proportion to their strength in the House. The movers of the motion in both the houses hailed the policies of the day and asserted that the government has paved way for inclusive and progressive New India.
प्रधानमंत्री केयर फंड में हम लोग पत्र लिखते हैं प्रधानमंत्री को कि हमारे क्षेत्र का गरीब व्यक्ति बीमार है, इसकी दवा नहीं हो पा रही थी, इसको कुछ पैसा मिल जाए, लेकिन साल में अधिकतम 32 से 40 लोगों की दवा हम करा सकते हैं। तमाम गरीब ऐसे हैं जो आते हैं, हम उनकी मदद नहीं कर सकते थे। हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी को जब यह बात पता चली, हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने आयुष्मान भारत योजना बना करके हिंदुस्तान के 50 करोड़ से ज्यादा गरीबों को मुफ्त में दवा कराने का काम मोदी सरकार ने किया है।
हमारी भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार ने आदरणीय मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में ही डॉक्टर भीमराव अंबेडकर को जो सही सम्मान मिलना चाहिए था, वो सम्मान अगर जो किसी ने दिया है तो आदरणीय नरेंद्र भाई मोदी जी ने दिया है। उनके नाम पर हमने विश्वविद्यालय बनवाए, उनके नाम से हमने कॉरिडोर सेंटर बनवाए, हमने उनके नाम से पंचतीर्थ स्थल बनाकर उनके जितने भी जगह थे उसको हम लोग विकसित करके ले आने, समाज को हम लोगों ने एक आईना दिखाने का काम किया कि हम प्रेरणा ले सके।
प्रधानमंत्री जी ने देश के पिछड़े समाज के हितों को देखते हुए संवैधानिक संशोधन कर राष्ट्रीय पिछड़ा वर्ग आयोग को संवैधानिक शक्तियां प्रदान की। इसके लिए उनका हृदय से मैं धन्यवाद देती हूं।
चेयरमैन सर, जो एम्स है, आईआईटी है, आईएम है, ये हमारे उच्च शिक्षा संस्थान है जहां से देश का विकास हो रहा है, जहां से देश विकसित हो रहा है। आज पंजाब को 70 वर्ष के बाद पहली बार अमृतसर में इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ मैनेजमेंट मोदी जी ने दिया।
Meanwhile, the opposition sought to corner the government over several issues.
महंगाई, उसमें महंगाई का कोई जिक्र नहीं है, इसको कैसा कंट्रोल करने वाले। बेरोजगारी का नहीं है, किसान और मजदूर की बुरी जो हालत है और SC ST पर जो ज्यादती हो रही है और गंभीर आर्थिक चुनौतियां जो है, ये भी उसको टैकल करने के लिए उसमें कुछ नहीं कहा गया।
कोई ऐसा जिला नहीं था जिसमें प्राइमरी हेल्थ सेंटर में कागज पे डॉक्टर है लेकिन मौके पे नहीं आ रहा है ही नहीं, कोई जाते नहीं, कोई इतना मिसमैनेजमेंट है, कोई देखने वाला नहीं है।
It is important as a nation that you listen to what we say, because we have experience, we have understanding. You might not think so, but we have people on this side who understand these things, have great understanding.
Recently, the central government has sent a circular that IAS officers, if they are asked to join on central deputation, must do so. No permission for the state government is needed. Is it not an assault on federalism itself?
Prime Minister Modi replied to the discussion of motion of thanks in both houses. He said that the centre has taken various initiatives during the COVID-19 pandemic for all the adversely affected social groups in the society. The Prime Minister also stated that India is leading the world's largest COVID-19 vaccination drive with Make in India vaccines for both Indians and its neighbours, and is setting an example for the world to take inspiration and ensure safety for its citizens.
हम सब संस्कार से, स्वभाव से, व्यवस्था से लोकतंत्र के प्रतिबद्ध लोग हैं और आज से नहीं सदियों से हैं। लेकिन ये भी सही है, आलोचना ये जीवंत लोकतंत्र का एक आभूषण है, लेकिन अंध विरोध ये लोकतंत्र का अनादर है।
Later, both the houses adopted the motion of thanks.
Question is that the motion moved may be adopted. Those in favor will please raise their hands. Aye says aye. Those against will say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the motion is adopted. The question is put as motion is moved and amended as accepted.
Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presented her fourth consecutive budget in Parliament during the first part of the budget session on 1st of February. She listed government's priorities for the Amrit Kal from 75 years to 100 years of India's independence. In one of the shortest budget speeches in the recent past, the Finance Minister laid out one of the longest roadmaps for growth. A day prior, Finance Minister also tabled the Economic Survey in Parliament. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman also tabled the Economic Survey 2021-2022 in Parliament on the first day of the budget session. The survey has projected the economy to grow at 8 to 8.5% in 2022-2023. With a focus on 4 pillars of development: inclusive development, productivity enhancement, energy transition, and climate action, the budget gives a blueprint of economy for India at 75 to India at 100.
By achieving certain goals during Amrit Kal, our government aims to attain this vision. They are complementing the macroeconomic level growth focus with a microeconomic level all-inclusive welfare focus, promoting digital economy and fintech, technology-enabled development, energy transition, and climate action, and relying on virtuous cycle starting from private investment with public capital investment, helping to crowd in private investment.
Both houses also took up general discussion on union budget. During the general discussion, the House is at liberty to discuss the budget as a whole or any question of principle involved therein, but no motion can be moved. The scope of discussion is confined to an examination of the general scheme and structure of the budget, whether the items of expenditure ought to be increased or decreased, or the policy of taxation as expressed in the budget and in the speech of Finance Minister. The Finance Minister has the general right of reply at the end of the discussion. Lauding the Narendra Modi government for providing income support and helping people during COVID-19 pandemic, the Treasury benches said that the Union Budget 2022-2023 focuses on job-oriented growth through enhanced outlay for capital expenditure.
सिर्फ हम लोग फिजिकल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में हम ध्यान नहीं देते, फिजिकल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में सिर्फ नहीं, अगर हमें भविष्य के बारे में सोचना है, एक आत्मनिर्भर भारत को बनाना है, तो डिजिटल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर भी बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है। यहां आप जान लीजिए कि जन धन के 44 करोड़ हम लोगों के खाते खुले हैं। आधार से अब डिजिटल केवाईसी हो जाता है। हम लोग 5G का अब स्पेक्ट्रम का ऑक्शन करने वाले हैं। यूएसओ का 5% दूर दराज गाँव में हम उनको भारत नेट बना रहे हैं। और ये भी एक चमत्कार हुआ है, अकल्पनीय बात एक हुई है, अभूतपूर्व बात हुई है कि दिसंबर में 8 लाख करोड़ यूपीआई के द्वारा का ट्रांजैक्शन हुआ। आज आप ठेले वाले के पास चले जाइए, रेड्डी वाले के पास चलाइए, दुकानदार के पास चलाइए और लिखा हुआ है वहाँ यूपीआई।
The cess and surcharge is not being shared to the states. It is being distributed by the union government, of course, for the benefit of the people.
गरीब खुशहाल कैसे रहे, वह स्वस्थ कैसे रहे। देश की आज़ादी के बाद जिन्होंने 5 दशक से ऊपर राज किया, उन्होंने कभी नहीं सोचा कि लोग को स्वच्छ पीने का पानी मिलना चाहिए। आदि बीमारी जो प्रदूषित पानी होती है उसके कारण ही होती है।
Meanwhile, the opposition termed it insipid and questioned the government on inflation and unemployment.
Today, my state has 28,365 crores of GST compensation pending. So I would like to request the Honorable Minister that if they are indulging and giving us so much flexibility, I have two questions. When will all our GST money come? Point number one. And point number two, with this, will 6.9, our borrowing also, will this help us, if you could indulge the states in more borrowing?
Please increase the funding for roads and tunnels. We need these very badly. This will make people's connection easier and the state will improve.
ये साल 2022 was the year of the promise. The promise was to double the farmers' income. इसका मतलब ये है कि तालियां ज़्यादा बजते थे अगर आपके अनाउंसमेंट में इंस्टेड ऑफ 2,37 लाख करोड़ अगर आप बताते कि हमने 4,74 लाख करोड़ हमने किसानों को ट्रांसफर किया तो बात होती थी कि भाई हमारा इनकम डबल हुआ।
The allocation is slashed, subsidies slashed, but for the poor, this is the situation. For the rich, you can see the budget was all in favor of them.
Replying to the discussion on the budget in both houses, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that the budget stands for continuity, brings stability to the economy, along with predictability of taxation. She also said that Indian economy suffered the biggest contraction due to COVID-19 pandemic, but the government was able to contain retail inflation at 6.2%.
So the continuity point which is very critical at a stage when the economy is coming out of the pandemic, focused on growth. The last budget also, we had focused on growth because that's how we could get people out of the difficult situation that we had gone into because of the pandemic. And that growth focus continues in this budget as well.
Home Minister Amit Shah also made a statement in Parliament on the attack on Hyderabad MP and MIM Chief Owaisi. Making a statement, Union Home Minister Amit Shah said that the attack on Hyderabad MP and MIM Chief is being probed, pointing out that MIM Chief still faces a threat as per the government assessment. Home Minister said that a bulletproof vehicle and Z-category security has been given to him. Gunshots were fired at the car of MIM Chief in Hapur in western Uttar Pradesh.
पहले भी कई मौकों पर केंद्रीय सुरक्षा एजेंसियों के खतरे के आकलन के आधार पर श्री ओवैसी को सुरक्षा प्रदान करने के लिए केंद्र सरकार ने निर्देश जारी किए हैं, लेकिन श्री ओवैसी द्वारा सुरक्षा लेने की लिए अनिच्छा के कारण दिल्ली पुलिस और तेलंगाना पुलिस उन्हें सुरक्षा देने का प्रयास सफल नहीं हो पाया।
Both houses also mourn the demise of legendary singer Lata Mangeshkar.
ओम शांति। सभा की कार्रवाई आज 5 बजे तक के लिए स्थगित की जाती है।
Several private members' bills, 0-hour mentions, special mentions and start questions were also taken up on the floor of the House.
सदन में माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी के अभिभाषण पर चर्चा के लिए आवंटित 12 घंटे के समय के स्थान पर 15 घंटे 13 मिनट चर्चा हुई, जिसमें 60 मान्य सदस्यों ने भाग लिया। 60 अन्य मान्य सदस्यों ने अपने भाषण को सभा पटल पर रखा। इसी प्रकार आम बजट पर सामान्य चर्चा के लिए आवंटित 12 घंटे के स्थान पर कुल 15 घंटे 33 मिनट चर्चा हुई, जिसमें 81 मान्य सदस्यों ने भाग लिया। 63 मान्य सदस्यों ने अपने भाषण सभा पटल पर रखे।
The credit for this goes to every member of this House. As a result, the members could not only participate effectively in the discussion on the motion of thanks to the President address and general discussion on the budget, but also were able to raise 51 start questions, 71 hour
submissions and about 17,000 our submissions and about 50 special mentions. I compliment all sections of this August House for effective functioning of the House in a very positive way during this part of the budget session.
The recess allows department-related parliamentary standing committees to examine demands for grants of various ministries. The Finance Bill and related demands for grants are passed in the second phase of the budget session. The session would conclude on April 8th. And with that, we conclude our program. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Sansad TV. Namaskar.
गुजरात